everyone, welcome back to my channel Web Coding with Ankur. Today we are diving into an essential concept in React, managing state in class component. Understanding state is crucial for building dynamic and interactive applications. So let's get started. So what exactly is state? In React, state refers to a built-in object that allows component to keep track of changes and manage their own data. Unlike props, which are read-only and passed down from parent to child component, state is local to the component and can be changed. I share a screenshot. As you can see in the slide, I have declared a constructor props, and with this declared many number of things inside a constructor. You can see here a super constructor, and thereafter you can see these dot states where count and text will be supporting their value as you can add inside this state. Now I'm going to tell you how we can add states in our class component. To add state into our class component, we will use the constructor method. Inside the constructor, we will call super and initialize our state using this dot state method. As you can see in the slide, inside the constructor, we have calling the super constructor, which can call the parent constructor, which the class extend. And secondly, there we have defined the state inside the class component. This is how we can define our state inside the class component. I'm going to tell you why we use super in class constructor. As we have created a class component React, you typically extend the base React component class. The base class is what provides the functionality that allows your component to behave like a React component. If you don't extend the React component, then it will provide an error in your class component. So here you can see I have declared what is the purpose of using super constructor as we declared in the previous slide. First of all, calling parent constructor. The super constructor call is necessary to call the constructor of the parent class that is called a React.component. This ensures that the component is properly initialized with all the internal properties and methods defined by the React. So after second part was access to this. So before you can use this in your component, you must call super. This is because this keyword in JavaScript represents the call instance of the class and it must initialize by the parent class constructor before it can be used. So if what happens if you don't declare the super or don't use super? So if you forget to call super in the constructor of a subclass, JavaScript throw a error. This is because this keyword cannot be used before calling the parent class constructor. So as is showing the error of as you are not declaring the super, so you are not able to access this. You want to be able to access this dot prop or this dot state, and trying to use this before calling super will reject a reference error. I will show you this how the super without using super is error given by the class component in my example. So let's move to a new slide. Now, as you can see, we have reached out to the coding session today. In the coding session today, we build a simple counter app where we can increment, decrement, and reset the counter with the help of state, with the help of class component, and using state. And I am also showing the issue if we are not declaring what we get in the program, if we are not declaring a super constructor inside the class component. So let's move on to our Visual Studio Code and we start building a simple counter app for using states in class component. Here you can see my incoming page with showing that what is states in class component in React.js. And today topic was discussing what are the states in class component and how can we manage in class component. So we can start building together a simple counter application in class using states in class component. So let's move on to our Visual Studio Code and let's see what start building a application. So here you can see this is the simple thing. So for building a simple counter, we can create a file. So let's get started. We can create a counter.jsx file. Here you can see, and we can build a class counter because we are working on class component, extend, and component. Here you can see we can build a constructor, and inside this we can build a super constructor. Apart from this, we can also declare a state to be counter. Count will be 0. Okay. Now inside this we have inside class component we have a render method, and inside render method we have a return statement. We have a return method which will display the UI on the front end side. So I can write simple counter application, simple counter app. So let export this component so that we can call this component on the front end side. So here we can call it as counter, enter and save. Now let's see it will be visible. Yes, it will be visible on simple counter app. Okay. Now we move on to our page. So what we have to build in this. So first of all we have to display the counter. Okay. For displaying the counter we need to know the state. So one more thing. So inside this, let me okay, simple counter app. What are the states? So let me minimize. Let me comment this line so that we can demonstrate it. Okay, we can keep it at H3 to be small and able to work on it. So here we have simple. Now we can see where simple counter app. So now we can first of all build the counter which will display the count value, on home page. So for this we can build strong. We can build counter and we can keep it as strong, and we can type as this dot state dot count. Okay. Now you can see your value is counter value 0. We can keep it space. Now here you can see that you can I can make it big so that you can easily understand counter value 0. Now one more thing I just want to tell you that what if we don't declare super. As you can see we didn't find any issues. Let me control this particular thing. So here currently no control issue over there. Now let me comment this line of super and let's see what happened to this. So I have commented out this super and let reload this. Here you can see that I comment this super constructor, and here you can must call this super constructor in derived class before using this or returning from derived constructor. As you can see we are accessing the state using the this.state.count, but we are not declaring super constructor here. So if you are not declaring super constructor here, it will showing this error of must call super constructor in derived class. So in order to access the state with the help of this, so you have to enable this super constructor so that you can easily able to access this particular. Now we can reload, and now we can then find an issue. Okay, this was the thing. Now we have the counter, we have the count value 0. Now we can build 3 button on it which can increment, decrement, and which can increment and decrement the value and reset this particular value. So we can give 2 space line to it, and now we can build a button. We can build 3 button on top of that for increment, decrement, and for reset. Okay. Now for increment, I can here increment and decrement, and for reset counter. Okay, we give enough space so that button cannot be overlap on one another. So let's see where our button will be created or not. Yes, our button will be created. We don't want control to be, and we can make it a small. Okay, now we are able to have, first of all we have to give some class name to it. As I have used as I'm using the bootstrap, so I'm giving the class name to it. You can add some color or anything which you would like to know. And I'm adding secondary to this and adding danger. Okay, now you see the color has been changed on the button side like this: increment, decrement, and reset counter. Okay. Now we can create a function on top of that. We can create a function who can increment that particular value. Let's start with the increment operator. On increment, we can create increment. In order to access this pointer, we can use this dot increment because we are using the class constructor, and for this we can build 3 functions which can increment, decrement, and reset. So we can copy this particular line of code on this and adding on decrement and adding on reset counter. Here increment become decrement, and here reset. So let's start building. Start with the increment. Okay, so that we can increment our value. So for this we can increment for this. So what our task is to increment the value of count. How this value of count can be used? Here you can see by default value of count is 0. So what we have to do? We have to do this dot set state method, and we have to copy. We have to do this and count value to be this dot state dot count. And we have to increment the counter value by 1. So we have to make it to 1 and save it. Okay. Now we can save it. Now let's see whether now when you click on button, it increment the counter value by 1. So let's see we can able to make the counter incremented by 1. So we click on it. Yes. Here you can see that here when you click on increment, the value of the counter is increasing. Okay, like this. Now on decrement the reset counter is not, because we didn't add functionality for this. Okay. Now we can first increment counter. So increment counter. Now we can build for decrement counter. We can make it for decrement counter. We have to build a function for decrement counter. For decrement counter, what is the function name? It is name of decrement, I think. Yes, this is name of decrement. So we can make it that decrement is equal to fat arrow and copy, and after same thing we have to do, but we have to in this we have to decrement the count value by 1. Okay. Now you show this dot state dot count minus 1. Save it. Okay. Now see. Now we start also build for the reset counter. For that we don't want to check again. Reset counter. So for the reset counter, what is the function which we have used in this program? Reset. I am using reset. So we click on reset, and we can make a function. And for the reset, we have to set this dot set state to be value to 0, because by default the value of count inside our state will be 0. We can kept at 0. If we don't want to use this, we can simply put 0 inside that and save it. Okay. Now let's see that if this program has been effectively run or not. Okay. Here is a count trap, and we can click on. We can click for 10 times, and we can decrement 10 times, and we can after that we can reset, or we can increment that depending upon. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now the counter has incremented by 10. Now let's decrement this particular counter by clicking on decrement. So let's see what it shows. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Minus 1. Here I am facing an issue that here when you after 0 it will be incrementing in the minus 8. So we have to fix this. And when we click on reset counter, it is working fine. Okay, but we have to see this that this decrement will be decrease value if it's reached to 0. So let's keep it simple. So we have to check that if this dot state dot count not equal to 0. Okay, we have to check that for the particular condition. So for the particular condition, so we have to copy this particular statement inside that, and we have to put this and we have to paste it here. Else, what if here I am checking? Here I am checking if the state dot count value not equal to 0. Okay, then not or greater than 0. Greater than or equal greater than 0. Then it will be increment value. Okay, until and unless else it will set the value to counter to 0, which we have did in the reset counter. So let's copy this particular line and paste it here. Now let's see we fix the issue or not. So let's see, we can click and reload this particular application, and we can print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and let decrement 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Here now you delete. You cannot able to decrement. Now our decrement is working fine, because now 0 is not incremented in the negative formation. So this is how you can work on increment and decrement. Now let's see, first of all we can check it whether counter working or not. Now we can click on reset. Yeah, it is working fine, and we can decrement auto this value to any time. So we can click on this. Now the value decremented, and this is how the state can be managed in this manner. Apart from this, you can also make the decrement once a return to be disabled. So you can also keep this button to be disabled. For this, you have to make a state on this. So this is how you can build a small counter application using states in class component. I hope you are able to get how the state can be worked in class component. Now, as we are move on to our conclusion, last part of our video, that is the conclusion. Remember to never mistake state directly and always use setState, although keep in mind that setState is asynchronous, so plan your code accordingly. That is for today's video on managing states in class component. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any question, leave them in the comment below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more React tutorials. See you next time.